Hello YouTube! I've decided to share my current version of the Dark Magician deck that I normally run. Used the Dark Magician ever since I started playing, and this is just where it's at in 2019 right now. Always going to keep updating it, so I'll definitely be doing another one in the near future, but I haven't really done a deck profile video yet, and I figured I'll start now. So, with the monsters, obviously, 3 Dark Magicians. I like to have 3 different artworks just so it's like, they're all wearing something different, so they're not carbon copies. Yeah. 3 Apprentice Illusion Magicians, because she's too good, so I need her. I like to run for fun Dark Magician of Chaos. I would normally have this switched out as well as Dedication for more meta counterproductive means, but I like to run them because it's an extra fun thing to do. 2 Chocolate Magician Girl. She has saved my life on so many occasions just because they can't directly attack into her most of the time. So even though I've got no back row and nothing in my hand to save me, she usually comes to save me because there's usually a Dark Magician in the graveyard, and you can load it with one by using her draw effect. So you just discard something high level into the graveyard, and then when she gets attacked, she's gonna bring him out. So, pretty good. Berry Magician Girl. She's mostly to get the chocolate, but she's also a pretty good stop attack situation, because she's gonna either add it to your hand or summon it to the field, so you're getting chocolate either way. And I do run the spellbook engine in this deck, just so I have enough variety. I like having a whole bunch of different monsters, and I do like the prophecy cards, so I like having some version of that in here. And I run 3 Keeper of Dragon Magic right now. This is my most recent edition. I'm not that keen on using polymerization in this deck, but I do like that it at least opens up that I could do other fusions if I wanted to and not be reliant on Eye of Timaeus. So that's why I'm running him for now. I might drop it depending if something else comes in that I can kind of play with, but right now the access is good considering where the deck stands. I only run 1 Magician of Dark Illusion. Kind of like I also have a Buster Blader deck, and you only need the 1 Rechained effect monster, so I only run the 1 of this. Because usually I can search him if I can't really search him, but when he comes up, and sometimes he's good, and otherwise he's only the Dark Magician on the field, so he doesn't really work that well in the graveyard, so I don't really want to run into him too quickly. And then the last monster is 3 Magician's Rod. Kind of a no-brainer staple in the deck. You kind of have to at least run these. I don't run Rogue because it just doesn't seem as effective as running these. But I do like Rogue. I would run it in a really gimmicky deck, but no, you absolutely definitely need 3, just like everybody else says with this. Okay, so that's monsters. Moving on to spells, I run 3 Dark Magical Circles. They're pretty good to run into, but even, you know what, I feel like you could probably get away with 2 just because of how easily searchable it is, but right now I'm running 3 just so I can run into it right away. 1 Dark Magic attack, basically search it whenever you want once you have the Eternal Soul, so it's just a 1 good play. If it was like Dark Burning, like you could use someone like Dark Burning other than 1,000 Knives, then sure, but yeah. Dedication. So, obviously for Dark Magician of Chaos. It's just another, yeah, I mostly get it. I use it because it's another fun thing to go search for off Magician's Rod or Inheritance, because once I have, if I'm ahead enough in the game to get a whole bunch of Dark Magician stuff going, then I want to have that one next step, and it's a lot of fun just to play into this. Illusion Magic, and this is a big one. I only run 1, but it's really crucial at times, especially if you're stuck with just a blue boy and no Spellbook of Knowledge, or you use it in a different way, or you know, just have the rod. So if you already got this in a rod, then you can set up immediately. Dark Magic Inheritance. I added this one not a couple of months ago. I really didn't like the idea of running it because Rod does this, basically, without the cost. But then that is also really reliant on the fact that he is a monster that is being normal summoned. So sometimes this is actually really helpful mid-game if you've got, you know, the build-up in the graveyard to do it. This has saved my butt twice already, so I'm like, yeah, alright, I give in, I'll run it. I only run the one I've Tamaya's because it's a pain. You can't search it, but it's there, at least it's an option. I run 2 polymerizations, just so it can be accessed more than once. I definitely run a bigger fusion section of my extra deck, so I want to be able to keep getting these, especially if you're going to use something like Inheritance and you end up banishing one out of necessity. I just have the 2. Otherwise, why do I have 3 keepers? I do 2 Spellbook of Secrets. This is a good thing to throw away. Like, once this is in the graveyard, it's really good for Inheritance because it's just there. And it's also really good if you end up with this and you didn't want it if you've got Apprentice Illusion, because it's good discard fodder. So whenever you're stuck in one of those things, or even, oh, you can't use it with Chocolate, but at least with Apprentice. Spellbook Knowledge. I only have one. I only own one at the moment, so I'm running it in this deck, which makes my Spellbook deck incomplete right now. But it's too good to not take advantage of in this deck, so I'm using it. And the last spell is Cosmic Cyclone. Yeah, I like it a little bit more than MST because of the banishing part of it, so that's just the choice I use for this one. Otherwise, I still stand by MST. Traps. 3 Eternal Soul, kind of a big deal. You kind of have to use it, or at least it gets you the right advantage at the beginning. I've seen people say, I've heard people say you should go after Circle first if you're going to search, and I'm like, I'd rather have the reliability of protection and bringing him back rather than the banish effect. 3 could also be too many of this, because I have run into a whole bunch of them before, but by that time you can use them to discard or get rid of them somehow. It's nice to at least have a backup, because when it does blow up, it blows up hard. But I find that not a lot of people actually go after this. I don't get that screwed over from blowing this up, so yeah. I run 3 navigations for sure. I don't really love using it that much, because most of the time I already have Soul on the field. But the good thing is that it loads the field in one turn with at least 2 more, well, up to 2 more monsters, depending on what you're getting. That, and this is also really good in the graveyard because I don't have a lot of counter cards, and this like lets you stop an opponent's face-up spell or trap effect, and that can be pretty crucial at times, and a lot of the times they forget that, so they don't expect that to happen from the graveyard. I run 1 Solemn Judgment right now, just because it's like the Duel trap, and it's the only one I currently have, so I'm just running it in here. And a good old Mirror Force. I just, you know, it's a Mirror Force. I'm just gonna stand by that too. It's a good staple. Alright, extra deck. So I run 2 copies of Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. He's kind of my big boss, so he's kind of needed. I like that lockdown in the combo there, so yep. That. I run 1 Amulet Dragon. I don't usually go into him, but he's kind of fun if the situation could afford it, like off of extra links or something, but I wouldn't usually use my extra monster zone for him unless it's just a good play. Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight. It's in here because Dark Magician Girl's in the side deck, but I don't really go into it. It's just an option. Her effect is pretty good, just more often than not you gotta go for something a little bit more powerful. I run 2 Dark Paladins in here because sometimes it can happen. You can choose one. I also just like having the alternate arts. I don't really have a complex side deck simply because I don't really chase after all the extra deck monsters, so most of it's fusion, and this is the last one. Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Because I run the polymerizations, I can easily fuse into this, and it's pretty good, so I use it. Ebon Illusion Magician. Yeah, he's kind of one of the playmakers if it works out. Usually he's pretty good to go into, depending. Ebon High Magician. I don't really like going into him. I would definitely prefer Ebon Illusion Magician over him, but he's there sometimes. And Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, because usually he's a really good failsafe at the end of a turn that I couldn't take out my opponent. So if I go into him in the main phase 2 if possible, then he doesn't go anywhere for a while, and he inflicts the damage based on what my opponent's doing. So he's kind of like, there's 1500 left, your opponent's done after a few turns or a few moves. But yeah, that's where I'm currently sitting at while I'm dueling my friends and stuff. So I hope you enjoyed that. Stick around for when it gets updated, and I'll probably do another deck profile video shortly. Just wanted to lead with this one. And yeah, take it easy on it, guys, because it's not that competitive. It's just what I can do with it. But it's been one of my favorite decks to run, so I hope you enjoyed, and thanks very much. Leave a like if you did.